Good morning again. This is Dr. Bill Wyatt, and I'm going to skip a little bit of this introductory stuff. But anyway, I'm a member of the American Orthodontic Society, board certified in that. But I wanted to talk this morning about these wax patterns. And this is a rather insignificant thing, it seems like, but it has made it possible to bend almost any kind of loop you want from a wax pattern, and it'll fit back in the mouth. And that's a pretty good order. If you try to bend these loops without having something like that to go by, it's very difficult to make an arch wire that fits in the mouth. So let me start out and show you. We take you can do this on a typodot, or you just take the wax and hold it in somebody's mouth. It's just be a sheet of wax, big enough where you can get it in the mouth, and then you just press this wax down on the person's teeth. And somebody their mouth will be moist and the wax doesn't stick to the teeth bad, and just make sure you press it where you've got each bracket in the mouth. You just press it against that, and now you slip the wax off of the teeth without flattening it out or bending it or distorting it in any way. And you'll have a kind of a mold like of the teeth a little bit, and you'll have these kind of prints of these brackets kind of protruding up into the wax. And so if you want to make an arch wire on that wax pattern, you take a wire and bend it to where it fits, or you get one that pretty well fits over this, and you'll just have a little imprint of that bracket there, and you just put the wire down in that groove all the way around, and make it where it fits in there comfortably. Now, make sure you mark the center of the arch wire where it's going to stay on there. You have to make a little V or something like that at the center, because you have to go back to the center each time, and you bend. If you're going to bend several loops or something, you put them in between spaces, and you start at the center and you work toward the back of the mouth, you see. And that uses up the tail end of your arch wire back here, and it'll become shorter, and it's used as you make loops or come in here and however you want to make a loop. And then now I'm going to show you how to make these omegas that we use on each one of our arch wires. It come out and kind of tips forward and comes back through the 6-year molars. We've got a video on that already, and show you how to make those little omega forming plier. But I didn't tell you about the wax pattern, so I want to come back and kind of redo this. I think we've already done something on that already, but I'm going to redo it again to make sure that it's well understood. Now, we use pure beeswax. Now, I'm not trying to sell beeswax for people, but this is where I bought it, and I've got to tell you about that. You get it anywhere you want to, as far as I'm concerned. Just pure, absolute pure beeswax, and it's about a thickness like that. It's about a little over 1 millimeter thick, maybe. And you get a sheet of it about so long like that, and it's big enough to make 2 wax patterns from it. And you cut it in 2 or bend it and break it in 2 right here, and you can put this in somebody's mouth, and their teeth will fit around in here, and just press it up against their teeth and keep it in the same spot all the time. They don't bite on it. It's just you mash it in with your fingers and push it up around these brackets and everything, and you'll have a imprint of that tooth and the bracket on the tooth, and you've got to have the imprint of that bracket, because that's where you put the wire between the tooth and the bracket, and you lay it right in there. So anyway, here's the wax pattern. Now I have taken that and pressed it down on that typodont. Now the typodont's dry. It would be better if you lubricated it a little bit and put this on so it wouldn't stick to it. Sometimes the wax sticks to the typodont, or you could just take the typodont and put your wire on it. Of course, you can see it, but you can't do that in the mouth. So you've got to take these wax patterns, and then you want to make sure you mark the center right between the two teeth. You either got to put a mark on it without damaging the wire, or else you can make a little kind of a V, just a tiny little imprint in the wire so that you know where the center of it is, and you put it at the center every time where you mark where you're going to put a loop. Then you can take it and make that loop and put it in there, and it will use up the tail end of the arch wire like that. So as you come around, and you can make any loop you can come up with, as far as I'm concerned, and you can make them that go up. You just cut a hole in the wax, you know, and go up with the loop and come back down and go on back in here. And you can make all kinds of loops outside the mouth, and it'll fit back in the mouth. And that is a big help in bending arch wire. So if you haven't learned that, that is a very good thing to know. This is not going to be a long video, so hang in there with me. Now I take an arch wire, see, and it's laying in on the side. It's close enough here, and I can see on that wax pattern between the bicuspid bracket right here and the molar bracket back here. And I've got that much space, you see, between those. And I can build a omega, something that would come out here where we could and have it right by the bicuspid bracket, and you could shorten the arch wire enough that if you had a big space in here somewhere, you could tie it back and it'll pull this back and close it. Now when this omega gets back to the molar tube, then you can't shorten it anymore with that. Now the way we close space in the arch, whether it's upper or lower, is that we pull one to one side where we think it's going to be and tie it, but not push on it. The other side we can come over with a director and push on that arch wire real hard. Just push on that omega and squeeze the wire in there and tie that thing back. Now this is tight as a dickens in here. It'll blanch the tissue on a space in here where the teeth don't butt against one another. When the teeth touch one another, then there's no pressure on the tissue. But if there's a gap in there and you squeeze it together, you can blanch the tissue back here. In other words, you can close space by tying the arch wire back. But when the omega gets back to the molar tube, you've got to shorten the wire if you've got more space than that. So if you got a lot more, you can make a U in the top, or you can get on the same side over here and make a little U like that, and a little U over on this side, and whatever you go up with the thing and whatever you go down, you're going to shorten that arch wire that much. In other words, however much you went up and however much you went down, you put that together, and that would be an awful lot of shortening to do there on that. Usually it's much less than that, and you shorten it, and that pulls your omega away from the molar tube, and now you can continue to shorten. So if you've got a large space to close in the arch wire, and you don't want to change the arch wire much, you make your omegas right behind the bicuspid bracket. It'll work until it gets where the omega touches the molar. Then you've got to shorten it. And you can shorten it on both sides. You can shorten it in the middle and on both sides. If you shorten it here, that's the only one you have to do. If you want to do more, you put some on each side that you shorten it. I hope that's plain. I know it can get confusing to people that haven't done anything like that. So anyway, that's what we use this wax pattern for. And there it is, and we can, now if you put some kind of mark out here that will stay with the wire. Some wires have but these are bulk wires, and we put a little mark where we're going to put that omega. When you put the omega plier, it'll make the omega right up against that mark. You see, it'll be back between the bicuspid bracket and the molar bracket right here, and those things will fit right back in the mouth. And I hope you try. If you haven't tried this and you're bending arch wires to fit in somebody's mouth, you've got something that'll really help you right here, just learning about a little wax pattern. So I'm gonna hush, and we'll finish this video out, and I hope you are helped by this to some extent. I don't know where to buy wax in some foreign countries. I think you might have to make your own. It's a lot of work for the beads. Okay, we'll stop this.